So he did not like what happened in New York at all. And so I'm going to do something about it. That's how he is. I'm going to do something about it. That's what I get from him. He has a couple bad days at the plate. I'm going to do something about it. He's a self-starter. He's self-motivated. He's good enough to, he's so good that he's able to make adjustments on the fly. So it doesn't surprise me that he rebounded from that start as he has.
エンゼルスで大谷を指揮したジョー・マドン元監督が番組に出演し、大谷のリアル二刀流の是非やトラウトなどについて見解を語りました。大谷との関係性が垣間見れるマドン元監督の当時の会見も非常に興味深いので合わせて訳しました。ご覧ください。
Let me ask you first about Shohei Ohtani. Taking some more days off this year. Dave Roberts is saying that sometimes he'll hit when he pitches and sometimes he won't. How would you handle that situation, Skip?
Well, first of all, nice to see you guys again. Very cool. And the one thing you mentioned about the marketing, the market or large market or small market, I like the large market because of the accountability component to it also. I was good with that. You go to Wrigley Field every day. There's a large level of accountability from the fan base too. And then, of course, the press, like you said, there's the group within the press that you kind of feel comfortable speaking with and some you're not so comfortable speaking with, but that's okay. It's all a part of the entertainment industry. I had to get that out of the way. However, Shohei, the way I did it with him was we had a meeting in spring training and the rules were there are no rules, meaning you tell me. I've never had a guy that did both since I did it in Little League, probably right, pitch and play a position. And so I really wanted to stay out of that. The one thing we settled on back then was that if he thought his legs would tell him the whole story. If his legs felt fatigued at all, we would not do both. But he would tell me the night before he had a pitch what we're going to do. So I'm just curious if this is his idea or if it's the Dodgers' idea. That would just be my take on the whole thing. Because knowing him, he believes that the team stands a better chance of winning on the day that he pitches when he hits. That was his logic. It's pretty good logic. So I'd be curious. I'm just curious to know where that's coming from. As he gets older, it was probably part of the equation, I would think. However, I don't know any of that. So for me, it would be a conversation with Sho. If he's in a little bit of a slump, I would not worry. He needs to get back into left central. When he starts pulling the ball, he gets pull happy, pulls off pitches outside, the slow rollover, et cetera, et cetera. He'll come out of that. So I always like to follow his lead in this situation.
Dave's quote was, "We were thinking about it, but it wasn't for certain. And then I saw body language from him and some of his swings." What do those things look like when you're talking about the best player on the planet and you have to evaluate that as a manager?
Well, yeah, I mean, that comes, like you said, it's individualized regarding who I'm watching and the observation. Normally that would be, I'm just talking about, he's pulling off a lot of stuff, maybe swinging the pitches in the dirt normally, and he'll chase the high fastball too, but it just totally out of character. He looks like he's defeated in a sense. When I say he, I'm talking about any baseball player. I'm not talking about Show specifically right now. I think that's what you're looking for. I always like to look in somebody's eyes, and you get that blank look about him to the point where he just seems totally frustrated, has no answers. And sometimes in that situation, a day or two would be the route I would go off, like just a day off. And I guess just by pitching and not hitting, that would be considered a day off. But with a guy like Show, a player that has like a pretty good baseball card on the back. The numbers are pretty solid, and he's still young in the prime, whatever. I would probably, I think pretty certainly I would talk to the fellow first. I would not make a unilateral decision right here saying you're just done, you're out. I believe that you need a couple of days off. It would be a conversation. I probably would be very persuasive, possibly, like in my conversation with the player, like trying to get him to want to understand this is best for him right now. It might get to the point of it gets really ugly that you just say, listen, I want you to take a day or two off. But the original concept would be conversational. My observations, I would try to relay them to him. This is why. It's what I'm seeing. Of course, numbers would back it up. But when a guy's got some stature, I would take it a little bit more slowly.
He just didn't have it going on early. I thought he got up after we tied it up. I think he went ahead briefly. He got it up to 94 that one particular inning. but he just wasn't feeling his fastball tonight. He pitched primarily with sliders, cutters, and splitters. You're going to have a chance to speak to him in a bit, but it just was one of those days he didn't have his normal stuff. I don't know if it's the residue of doing both things. I can't tell you that for sure. Again, I let him answer for himself, but in spite of not having his fastball, he kept us in the game pretty well. It was a surprise just based on our conversations. He's feeling really good. Yes, I'd like to do that. Because we've had talked about it often, that conversation's been really good. So I was kind of surprised too. Pretty much every series almost. The one that we got beat up pretty bad, I think, obviously was the Rays series, but otherwise, we just got to figure out how to get it in the winning ledger. So many close games like this. Again, it's really cultural. We got to get over the top and really start believing that we can do those kind of things. And obviously, I mean, nobody's known what he's doing, and nobody's done what he's doing, if that makes any sense. So he is so motivated. He came to the park ready today. I walked in the back room there. He's getting his arm ready, and watch. I guess he threw more warm-up pitches today than he normally does, according to Weiser. He just knows. He knows himself. So he did not like what happened in New York at all. And so I'm going to do something about it. That's how he is. I'm going to do something about it. That's what I get from him. He has a couple bad days at the plate. I'm going to do something about it. He's a self-starter. He's self-motivated. He's good enough to. He's so good that he's able to make adjustments on the fly. So it doesn't surprise me that he rebounded from that start as he has. Good observation. I thought when I saw him go to the mound, his uniform was all dirty. When he wants to play, when he pitches, because he's down. So what you just said was not lost on me. When he went out to the mound in the second, he was filthy. I thought that was outstanding. Yeah, listen, it's hard. I mean, I know there's other guys having good years, but you got to stop and really analyze and think about what's going on here. There's nobody even comes close to what he's doing. It's way imbalanced. If you want to just compare offensive numbers, I think he's still near the top in all categories when it comes to OPS, power, etc. But then add in what he's done on the pitching mound. So to me, there's not even close. When people talk of it as being close, it's not. It's not. What he's doing is so unique. It's just so different. To compare him to anybody else right now, you just can't.
Mike Trout, he's in Anaheim. You manage Mike Trout. Will we ever see him leave Anaheim to try to go to a place to win? Because they're not winning this year. It doesn't look like they're going to win anytime soon. Could it turn around? Sure. But now it's kind of getting louder and louder. Hey, Mike Trout's off to a great start. It'd be the perfect time for the Angels to finally move him. Will that happen?
I don't think it'll happen, but I thought it should have happened when it was pretty obvious that Shohei was going to leave the Angels, or when he did leave the Angels. I thought that was the perfect time to trade Mikey at that time too. Only because, I mean, the situation there wasn't good at that moment. It still hasn't really risen high above that particular moment in time. And they do, if they could restock in a very healthy way, and that would be up to their determination how they evaluate prospects. But yes, I would send him out. I would send him out for his own benefit, for the benefit of baseball, getting an opportunity to see him play in a playoff situation, just not unlike what happened with Show when he went to the Dodgers, and all of a sudden he's become kind of a Showtime. And Mikey, looks really good right now. I'm watching him in center field. He's moving well. You watch him. I saw him score first to home, I think, and I saw him. The camera happened to be on him going from around third base to the plate, and then he actually slid into home plate. And I thought, wow, he must be feeling pretty good if he just didn't run through the bag, slid into it, and he never lost stride, and the effort level was good. So, yeah, if there's no better time for them to do it than right now, get something in return for it. It's not conceding defeat by any means. It's just a smart baseball maneuver. And if in any way they could hook up with a group that they feel good about the return, I think it would be wise.
Where would you like to see for Mike Trout and for baseball? Where would you like to see him play and be a good fit? It has to be a playoff team, obviously, like you said.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I obviously Philadelphia is a good spot. I mean, everybody thought that's an easy fit because he lives right down the street from there. And I like what Crawford's doing there. I think he's going to be a fine young player. Brandon Marsh is there. I know a lot of those guys, but I think Mikey in the middle of that whole situation, being right-handed, would be very helpful for that particular group. I think he would thrive in the atmosphere. He knows what it's like. I think he would fit into Philadelphia very easily. You were just talking about playing in New York, and that's an acquired ability. Also, I think to a certain extent, playing in Philly can be described in the same way. So someplace like that, I think would be great. I mean, but primarily, I would say Philadelphia. If I had one landing spot, I like him in Philadelphia. I think that makes sense. And I think he can be kind of a real difference maker for them since the firing of Robbie, which, again, I hope people don't read that wrongly, because Robbie Thompson's a very good manager, and they're just benefiting from the fact that the Phillies, I think, were kind of embarrassed that their manager got fired, and now all of a sudden the accountability factor's gotten even higher. So it's just another little pump that possibly could get them over the top. So I think the perfect landing spot. I don't even know what their minor leagues looks like regarding return and prospects, but that would be a perfect spot for Michael.
Joe, you brought up Robbie Thompson, and I believe he's just such a good baseball man.
Yeah.
Alex Cora fired first, Rob Thompson a couple of days after that. Did the timing of these particular situations surprise you? I mean, at the time, I don't even think that they had played 30 games into the season.